if the software takes me live before YouTube takes me live, or if YouTube takes me live before my software takes me live. This is the song I sing while I'm getting ready for my live stream. Hello, beautiful people. It's Bonnie Gillespie. It's almost my birthday. This is my very last day of 55, my Sammy Hagar year, because I can't drive 55. Yes, I can't drive 55. I will no longer be 55 after today. But during today's live stream, we're going to be taking a look at the various ways that we can interpret a birthday, which include things like the solar return chart. And my solar return is actually tonight. So on July 11th, 1970, I was born, but on July 10th, 2026, I'm going to have my solar return. Does that make me born a day earlier? No, it just means the sun is in the exact same spot it was on the day I was born, the day before I was born, this particular year. Oh, an announcement that I'm going to now say every time that I am live. This channel is an AI-free zone. Please support human creators by liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting, engaging, reporting channels that are complete AI slop made out of real human beings content, because that's a thing. And until YouTube requires a banner across all AI productions, this is going to be a game of whack-a-mole. But today we are going to be covering not only solar return charts, but also annual profections. There is a poll in the live chat. Thank you for watching live, folks. Those of you here can vote in the poll, and then I will conclude it in a couple of minutes, and we will see what you are most interested in, what you tend to use most. Please include in any chatting that you do what you look at when you are examining your birth information. Do you look at your solar return chart? Do you look at annual profections? Do you look at secondary progressions? Do you just look at the transits of, like, this year, Jupiter is going to be in Leo. Therefore, for the whole year that I am 56, I am going to have Jupiter in the Leo part of my chart. And does that have a bigger influence on the kind of year I'm going to have than, say, something like my annual profections and the ruler of my chart based on annual profections, a Hellenistic technique, which we will get into. I have lots of shares. I'm going to do some screen sharing. I'm going to do some potentially sharing of stuff that I'm toying with. I'm always building things, that's for sure. But we're also going to do a little storytelling around how I know that my life definitely follows the patterns of annual profection. And that's not necessarily going to be the biggest one that I cover today, but it's definitely going to be the one that I am looking toward for an indication of how the year is going to feel for me. I always measure my life, by the way, from birthday to birthday. My birthday, July 11th, it's awesome. 7/11/70. So when we shorten 1970 into 70 and we get that 6-digit 071170. My birthday's a palindrome. It's the same forward and backward. I love it. It's awesome. Okay, but just saying, that's pretty cute. When I am looking at the ways that I feel the energy of my birthday, I can very definitely tell that I am in a year that is ruled by the stuff of annual profections. If annual profections are brand new to you, you have no idea what I am talking about, I would like to recommend that you go check out, hang on, this is the back end of my Canva, and this, there we go, is a webinar that I did not a horribly long time ago, but long enough ago that I want to do a new version of this, and probably will here in before too long time. And I will get it put up over at my Thinkific space because we're kind of migrating right now. But this is over at my Teachable space. So if you go to bonniegillespie.teachable.com/courses, you'll find this there. but the entire URL is here on my screen. I will put it in the description of this video when the live stream is over and I come back to edit for things like time code and resources and things that you might want to have available to you. I will make sure this link is there. This is a free webinar called You're Not the Boss of Me, because in Annual Profections Technique, there's a planet that's the boss of you each year of your life, and how that year is faring for that particular planet has a lot to do with how your year is going to feel. The pace of the year is definitely I'm not going to say ruled by, although that's what the word is for the technique. I'm going to say it is heavily influenced by the ruler of that year, the pace of things, the types of issues that you're going to be facing, things that you're going to be dealing with, definitely have a lot to do with annual profections rulership. Like I said, we're going to go into that in a little technique-y style so that I can help you know what your experience is. But I have always looked at my life in a birthday to birthday little loop. It's just always felt more natural to me that my new year is on my birthday. And technically, I decide the entire month of July is time to celebrate me and my birthday. Where did my dog go? I was making space for my dog, and he went directly behind me. Mala got a bath last night, and he does not enjoy a bath. I know there are some dogs that love getting wet and think it's amazing to like get all fluffed up and then shake it all off and then re-get all the scents and feelings back into their fur. This one, not so much. So he's a little pouty, but he smells great and he feels so soft. Oh my gosh, what a sweet boy. Oh, you were just the sweetest boy. Now, by the way, that's his dog bed. But he wants these pillows, and he literally wants to be directly behind me so that he's like, I don't want to be on camera. This is for you. This is not for me today. Okay, fine. I'll let you be that. Anyway, I've always felt like my year from birthday to birthday has a different tone each year, and so I don't really measure my life in years. Like, the calendar's all random anyway. So I don't really do a whole like, wow, 1983 was so whatever. It's way more when I was 12 and I was in a 12th or in a, what would I have been? I would have been in a first house profection year. I was very definitely feeling that rulership of Venus, and Venus is my chart ruler, first house ruler. I'm going to get into all of this so you'll be able to know that for yourself as well. But let me tell you why annual profections for me is feeling like, yeah, this is the one that I want to spend more time on than even solar returns, although I am going to do that as well. This year that I'm finishing right now has been an 8th house profection year. So quickly, the technique of annual profection is basically that each year of your life corresponds with a house having the focus, and whatever sign that house is ruled by is going to very definitely play into the kind of things that you're going to be dealing with. So it's not only that during a third house year, you're going to be dealing with more third house like issues. It's also the sign of your third house and its ruler, using traditional astrology, will have a lot to do with the pace at which things go in your life and how you end up confronting, dealing with, bringing in, accepting, experiencing your issues of that year. And so I really got into this a few years ago when I was headed into my back-to-back Saturn ruled years. And it's kind of cruel how they put the Saturn years back to back. And if you're curious about how that works, I have a whole thing I did on the Thema Mundi, which is the birth chart of the universe, the birth chart of the world. This is a fictional chart, a theoretical chart that sets rulership of the signs. So the zodiac and how it is folded and paired up and all that beautifulness of traditional astrology. It's really very fascinating. But this whole setting of I am going to be in a Saturn ruled year, and Saturn is themes like decluttering, pruning, death, boundaries, saying no, restrictions, saying, bitch, sit down, we're done with this. Like, really strictly creating sometimes shame around issues, a lot of shoulds, all of those shoulds and shames and such like that. That's real daddy Saturn territory. That you have one of those years because of Capricorn being ruled by Saturn, and then you immediately have another one of those years because of Aquarius being ruled by Saturn. Again, we're using traditional rulership because traditional astrology technique. It is just cruel that we experience Saturn and Saturn back to back, and those are really challenging already. And I had my Saturn to Saturn years going into quarantine times, plus I'd been on bed rest. Hello. Okay, that's a theme. I see that. Definitely can track that one. It's also while I was going through Pluto either opposing or squaring everything in my chart. And if you're like, no, that's not possible, it can't be. Okay, yeah, because I got all this Libra and I got all this Cancer. And when Pluto was over here in Capricorn, I did not have a year for the entire time that Pluto was in Capricorn where something in my chart was not being squared or opposed. And those hard angles were seriously hard angling me to fucktown because Pluto is the planet of transformation. Let's burn it all to the motherfucking ground. It's a lot. And I definitely was feeling all of that. And then on top of it, my Chiron return and perimenopause. Like, let's go through all of it simultaneously. And the fact that I am here today, knocking on 56, is a freaking miracle because that was a lot to get through. All right, so where are we? In annual perfections, what actually happens is, hang on. I'm going to see if we voted in the poll and how the poll is polling. And then I'm going to conclude the poll so that we can see what your favorites have been and continue to be. And then maybe by the end of this conversation, you'll be curious about another something. And I would be very interested to see what you might be interested in as you get here and maybe by the end of our time together today. Let's see, we've got Michelle saying it's a tie between solar returns and annual protections. So looking forward to today's Zoom. Awesome. Happy early journey around the sun, Bond. Thank you, Michelle. I do appreciate you. And then, of course, Michelle goes, profections. But hey, I'll take protections too. Yeah, girl, same. Creation TV station. Hello. So good to see you. Happy birthday, Bonnie. And I've got a halo and a cake and a lollipop and a cupcake and a chocolate bar and some tea and some flowers, and a big heart with smiley eyes. Thank you so much, Creation TV station. I appreciate you. I really am happy to see you here. It has been a minute and I love you tons. Thank you for the happy birthday wishes. Rain is here. Hello, and thank you for saying happy birthday, Bonnie. I appreciate your all caps. I accept it. I do. And Mala is back and gonna be in his magic carpet after all. Thank you, sweet boy. Thank you, my sweetest sweet boy. Oh my gosh, I love him so much. Hello, Lara. So good to see you. Thank you for joining me as well. I so appreciate you being here and being in my life. Y'all are fabulous. Please vote in the poll. I'm going to conclude it shortly. This poll that exists in the live chat. For those of you watching in replay, hey, replay crew, please do me a favor and comment with an emoji or just write out, what is your favorite? What is your technique? For solar return charts, maybe use an emoji of the sun. For annual perfections, I don't know, what would we use for annual perfections? Maybe the little cycle, the little spiral, the little blue spiral emoji, that might be a good one. Transit tracking, so maybe like a measuring stick, what's that called? A ruler, doing something like that. Like I'm measuring the transits that are coming, maybe the protractor, that would be a good one to use. And then of course, something else is one of your options because you may be like, Bonnie, I'm all solar arc directions. I'm all firdaria. Oh, please. I like to do zodiacal releasing. I'm all into numerology, all of the above. I mean, technically I'm all of the above, but I'd love to know, what is your favorite way to measure the theme of your year, birthday to birthday? All right, I'm going to end the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I know there's a delay between my talking and what actually happens on the screen. So I am going to now watch until my replay shows me counting, and then I'm going to hit end poll because I want to make sure that I'm not getting out ahead of that count showing up. Okay, here I go. I end it. Boom. All right. And the votes are, dun, 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 dun. Will it let me show the results? Let's see. Let's see. Will it let me show the results in the chat? It should. It should. I ended the poll. Give me a second. Where are you, poll? Where are you, poll? Mercury's retrograde. I know. Mercury's retrograde. Give me it. Where you at, poll? Seriously, poll, where you at? Okay. All right. We're going to give it a minute. Last time I did this, it like showed up like about 2 minutes later. So we'll give it some time. We'll give it some time. All right. Meanwhile, I want to have open this and this. So let me take a moment to, there it is. There it is. See, it took a couple minutes. There it is. It is. All right, here we go. This is what we've got for our poll. Which birthday theme is your favorite? We have a tie. Solar return charts and transit tracking both got 33%. So that is our tie for first place, is solar return charts and transit tracking. All right, I'm not mad at that. And then we've got in second place, also tied. You can see the results. Okay, great. Thank you, Larima. I appreciate you confirming. We've got annual profections and something else. Please feel free to share what your something else might be. Something else. Shrug emoji. Don't know, Bonnie. I'm here for you to tell us what is fun to do and why it's fun to do it. So, okay, the story I want to tell about this year that I'm finishing right now. I am finishing an eighth house profection year. The eighth house is typically one of the dark houses in astrology. It is a house that has a lot of mystery, a lot of magic, a lot of I can't see or control what's happening here. It is the house of other people's money. So for entrepreneurs, it can be a lot of like how we make a living, because we're not really we're not going into a jobby job and clocking in and getting a paycheck at the end of the fortnight or anything like that. So it is an eighth house financial picture can be kind of out of our control, but for entrepreneurs, I would say that that's kind of like everything. It can be investments, it can be taxes, it can be inheritances, a whole bunch of stuff like that. Inheritances, it can also be death. The eighth house can represent the occult, sex, kinks, perversions, things that are kept in the dark, taboos, things that we don't talk about, stuff that we tend to have a lot of shame around, interestingly, because it's not a Saturn ruled house by natural chart layout, but it is one where there is something deeper and something a little more intense that we can't control. So eighth house profection years, no matter what the ruler is for you, you're going to, in an eighth house year, have some themes that could be a little more challenging than some of the other houses, where it's just like, we're going to travel and we're going to learn things, or we're going to, focus on me. It's all about me. And I'm going to enjoy all the growth and the experiences that I'm going to get about changing maybe how I show up in the world, and big, exciting things like that. It's a little more like it's out of my control, and it's also potentially kind of dark. But let me explain how it is also so very comforting when you're watching your year unfold and going, yep, that checks out. So a few months back, I got some communication from my family that one of my brothers was not doing well, that his health was in a bad enough place that he was probably going to be going into hospice care before too long. And for those who don't know, when someone goes into hospice care, that's pretty much like we're in end game at this point. My mom went into hospice care, she had home hospice care for the last 10 days of her life, because that's how long it took for her to be like, I'm out. Once we made that decision for her and with her, she was fully aware of what was going on. She died of pancreatic cancer. This was 25 years ago, coming up on 26 years ago. My God. So that was something that was very definitely a conversation with her. I don't know how much my brother was aware of what kinds of decisions were being made. We had not been close probably ever. I mean, my brothers were so much older when I was born that I'm closer in age to their kids than I am to either of them. But it just was like when I received the communication from my family that my brother was at end of life stage, I was like, yep, that checks out. I'm in an eighth house profection year. Somebody's going to go. Probably this is the one that would make sense. I am not going to be surprised by that. And sure enough, he passed away on June 1st. And so that very much was a story of his profection ruler as well, because his birthday was just 10 days before he passed. So he entered into a new profection year that aligned with letting go. And I'm just like, astrology, you're so good. You're so freaking good. I really, really love how this maps out. But also financially, talking about an eighth house year. So I am one of those people who got a student loan situation back in the late 80s, early 90s. That was, I'm not taking out any money for college unless it is going to be the kind of loan that is forgiven upon consistent repayment based on my income level for a couple decades. And so the loan I took out as an undergrad was an income contingent repayment plan situation. And then when I went to grad school, I did another income contingent repayment plan loan, which then extended how long I was going to have to wait to see it forgiven, because it takes 20 years of consistent payment to have an undergrad income contingent loan forgiven, and it also takes 25 years to do that with a grad school loan. So I had loans, plural, in a grand total of $25,000. So I'm just setting that so that you'll go, okay, Bonnie borrowed $25,000 total between undergrad and grad school. I actually had borrowed a little more in undergrad that I paid off before taking out the grad school loans. But so by the time we're at 1998, when I leave grad school and move out to LA for one last attempt at show business. Whew, so glad it took. I love living here. It's amazing. It's my life. But I had left grad school in December of 98 and then was given a 6-month grace period before I had to start repaying my $25,000 now in principal of student loans. Great. I'm going to have to pay for 25 years, and I'm going to pay based on my income, which means every year they're going to look at my taxes, and then based on my tax returns and my income based on my taxes being filed, I will then pay a different amount each year. My monthly amount will change each year based on my income. I think this is a brilliant idea. I think this is a great way to thank the system for investing in my brain to give me this wonderful education. And I also think it's a fair deal that if I'm not yet making enough money to get this thing paid off by 25 years, y'all, we got to call this a wash. I would not have taken out loans if not for this. So cut to 2020, and I am aware that I am 2 years away from when they're going to do loan forgiveness. And I'm so excited. So 2022, I come around and I go, hey, y'all. Hey, I know that we're knocking on the moment when you're about to do loan forgiveness for me. And I'm just really excited because this has been a lot of fun, but I'm so ready for this to be done, because the interest on this has been a bunch of bullshit. And I now have a balance that is 6 figures. And considering I've been paying for 25 years, I find that a little redonkulous, and I'm so excited that I took out the kind of loans that I took, because we're going to be done with this. Of course, meanwhile, we're going through the whole, everybody's trying to get their loans forgiven. This is a thing that's happening for everyone, which I think student loan forgiveness is an incredible and necessary thing. That's why I only took out loans that had that as the deal. And so I'm big fan, but I just want to make sure it's clear that my loans were always that. So I shouldn't have been in the whole, are we going to forgive loans or aren't we going to forgive loans stuff that was going on in 2020, 2021, 2020, 2022, et cetera, et cetera. So I connect with my little portal, and it says your student loans are not going to be forgiven until 2028. And I go, I'm sorry, that is a typo, because I left grad school in 1998, and 2028 is 30 damn years, and it's supposed to be 25 damn years. And my math says that bitch be 2023. So what up? Right? So I found out that because all of our loans were suspended during COVID times, as a hey, we're going to give you a grace period of not having to pay anything while COVID times. Because of that, during the first Trump administration, I was now going to have to pay longer because of that period of time that I didn't ask for, I didn't apply for, I didn't agree to. It just was foisted upon me. And I mean, I appreciate it and all, but no, I still want my original deal. So I started going back and forth with, y'all don't try to sweep me up in this whole thing. My deal has always been this, and we do not want, no. Then comes the elections in 2024, and I go, oh my God, son of a bitch, they are going to turn my loan off. It is going to get turned into a not forgiven loan because I'm caught up in all of this nonsense, and I am so like losing my shit about all this. And I go, Okay, then summer of 2025, I have my birthday. I go into an 8th house perfection year. Remember, this is other people's money, things you don't control. I'm like, oh God, no, I can't. Because I log into the portal and I look, and my student loan balance, I've been paying on my loans now for more than 25 years. $167,000. What was my original principal? $25,000. One $13,000 loan, one $12,500 loan. In the 90s, in the late 80s, in the 90s. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I see you, 8th house perfection year. I see you. And I'm just like, what the fuck? So, cut to a few months ago. I'm sick. I'm so sick I can't move. I have a fever that will not break. This is the entire month of April 2026. I am so sick, and I have not been this sick and it's just a fever. Like, I don't have anything going on. Look at me. I'm having a mast cell activation while I'm talking to y'all. Can you see how pink my hands are? Oh my gosh. So I am in this place of, I have a fever that will not die. I don't have anything going on with my throat. I don't have the flu. I don't have COVID. There's nothing. I'm not sick to my stomach. I just have a fever that will not stop. And I'm like, man, we are in Aries season, and everything is like fighting with my chart right now, and I'm just feeling all the transits of it, and I'm just all this Aries season, because the Aries season was a lot. And I at one point feel this just wave of, I'm gonna be okay. And I'm like, well, am I going to be okay? Because right now I really don't feel okay. I have a lot of stuff that makes me feel not okay right this second. So how am I going to feel okay? And I decide I have enough energy to open the stack of mail that has been sitting this week that I've been sick. And so, just stuff stacks up because you're like, I can't. I'm so unwell. I can't even get my head like off the pillow. So I'm like, I'm going to open some mail. That is what I have enough energy to do. And one of the things that I open is from the student loan people. Look, if you get student loan shit, you get student loan shit like 3-4 times a month. There's something coming that's like, hey, we've reassessed this. There's now this, pay this, blah, blah, like all the things. So I'm like, yeah, recertify, blah, blah, blah. And I open this up. And then I go, Keith, come in here. I think I am seeing things. And Keith comes in, he had been in bed, and I'm like, I need you to actually get out of bed and come here and sit next to me and look at this and tell me if I am reading this correctly. Because it says, this letter is to inform you that as of October 2024, before a certain Cheeto took office, your student loans, per your agreement from 1990 whatever, have been forgiven. Thank you for having been paying into the system per your contract, and this is now a zeroed out balance. Now, I had already prepared back in 2022 our tax guy for, I'm going to have to pay taxes on the forgiven debt, which now that I knew it was $167,000, I was like, oh, fuck, we're going to have to pay $10,000, $20,000 in taxes on that forgiven debt because that's considered income. And I'm like, oh, fuck me. I am so not prepared for that. We've not been putting money together for that. So I'm just like, okay. And then I turn the page and it says, thanks to blah, blah, blah law that was signed into effect by Joe Biden on blah, blah, blah date, the tax on this loan forgiveness is waived. And I'm like, so right now, I not only have a $167,000 balance on student loans forgiven, but it's tax-free. I'm like losing my shit. I'm like, this can't be real. And then I open one of the other envelopes, and it is a check for $1,400 for overpayment of student loans for the months of November, December 2024, and January 2025 before I went on forbearance, because when the fires happened in January 2025, I called and went on forbearance because we lost so much of our income due to so many clients having everything destroyed. And we were not evacuated. We were 1 block by 2 blocks away from the evacuation zone, but everything was, it was a lot. So I had gone on forbearance at the end of January 2025. And so the 3 months that I had paid in before that were considered overpayment. And they wrote me a check. And I'm like, this is the most 8th house experience that I can even contemplate. And so I just want to put that out there in front of everyone. First of all, I had to then go into how do I deal with that kind of, oh my God, the system worked for me. Oh my God. This is like, I was so sure for the past 4 years that I'm fucked, I'm screwed. I did something that I was perfectly the good girl. I did everything right. I did it by the books. I did my research. I didn't take out a loan for more money than I could pay back. And I did it in a way that was going to do income contingent, which made it so that I was able to, especially in those really lean months, I was able to pay $60 or $100 instead of $500 and $600 and $700 a month loan payments. And especially as the interest just kept going and going and going, and it turned into this massive debt. I'm like, that's not even my debt. That's the fucking system's debt. And I'm watching them to then say, you're actually not going to get loan forgiveness. And I'm watching Trump take it away from everybody. And I'm going, oh my God, I am fucked. I am so fucked. I do not know how I'm going to get out of this. And instead I had a moment of, the system worked. The rules that I agreed to when I was just a kid taking out those loans actually worked. Oh my God, the system worked. The system never worked for me. And then I had to go, wait, in an 8th house year, that's magic. That is, I can't control it. And sometimes it's all going to go just fine. Can that be true? And that's when I look at the ruler of my 8th house. So the 8th house has themes because of all of that, because of what the house is. But based on your rising sign, and we always use whole sign houses for this, you are going to have a very specific ruler based on the sign of that house. So when we take a look at this chart here, that is my natal chart, we go to 8th house. You see the numbers around the center here: 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. 8th house, I have Taurus. Taurus is ruled traditionally and modernly by Venus. And this is where I have to say, I have Daddy Saturn in the 8th house, which means a lot of things. But one of the things is money situations and structure and rules and systems, boundaries, yes, all the shoulds. And Taurus, it's like, yep, on its own time, slow and low, not a lot of drama kind of energy. Just let it happen. Trust the process, because a Venus ruler of the 8th house is going to say, I'm magnetic. I let it come to me. I don't have to go out and take action. So all that stuff I was doing in prep, like in 2020, 2021, 2022, reaching out, contacting a lawyer, saying, wait, we have to fight this. Like, they're fucking me. What do I do? Oh my God, the ba. All of that, it didn't have to be a part of the story at all. But it had to be in my 8th house profection year that I even became aware of this stuff that was going on out of my control back before. And Venus is a magnetic manifester. Venus says, I don't go out and do stuff. I trust things to pull to me, because it always works out this way. It is love, money, enoughness, value for value. And this exchange of value for value is something that we're going to trust. And I went, man, I am living the most 8th house ever. And then I get word that my brother is unwell. And then I get word that my brother has passed. And I go, yep, 8th house, you did that. You absolutely did that. You sure did. So thank you for enduring story time with Bon, for that very real example of 8th house, my year of age 55. We're going to go into my Canva, and I'm going to share some tables that you're going to want to screen grab. I will also have a download of like little goodies like this that I will add to the description of this live stream once it is in replay mode. Over the weekend, I will be getting some goodies together for y'all to be able to download, but I want to check. You hit something else by mistake, says Michelle. Okay, so sorry for your loss, Bon. Thanks, Michelle. I appreciate you. He's sending you blessings from the cosmos. Definitely. He was a rock star. My brother was a rock star. He's high school dropout, went on tour with his band before he would have been able to even finish high school. He was always touring with his rock and roll band, and sometimes not touring and just playing locally. He's just an artist, a musician. Happy birthday, Bonnie, says Josephine. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. Lisa, so good to see you. Happy solar return, Bonnie. Thank you. That is literally crazy, Bon. I know. Crazy. Girl, says Larima, I am in almost the same situation with these student loans. I am so beyond furious every time I look at them. Honey, I have to say, and I know you feel this, that moment of, I did everything fucking right and y'all gonna do this to me, and like the amount of anger that I held for so long that I finally just had to say, I don't know how we're going to get through this, but we're going to have to float on some trust for a minute. We're gonna have to float on some trust for a minute, because I don't know how it's gonna work, but it's gonna have to work. Because where are you gonna get $167,000 from me? Where are you gonna get that? Especially in these days, like, oof, yeah, it's. How can your loans be more than double the original amount because of interest? I know that's the part. I'm like, the fact that when you log in and you're looking and it says the principal, this loan $12,500, this loan $13,000, and you're like, and put these two together, and somehow we still owe 6 figures, and not just small 6 figures. Seriously, like, not just barely $100,000, like $167,000 on a $25,000 student loan taken out in the 80s and 90s. I'm sorry, I can't with that. School loans are criminal for sure. Yeah. Almost sounds like my student loan issues. Love you, says Joni. I love you too, Joni. Thank you. Y'all, but for real. So now that I've given you all the nitty gritty, now that I've given you let's actually really go deep and look into like what are some of the things that can happen with 8th house. I mean, and I don't even want to, the amount of things that my brother represents in my life that are also 8th house are not small. I'll save that for a time when I'm ready to talk about some of the things that I got to experience for the first time because of my brother, because they're not all great, but they are all experiences, and they are all things that I am so glad, because if not for experiences, then I don't get to be who I am now, and I am pretty cool with who I am now. So as I'm headed into a ninth house perfection year, that's going to be this one over here. That is, I'm not sharing my screen right now. That's going to be this one over here. That's going to be this ninth house perfection year. That is a Gemini house in my chart. And it is ruled by Mercury. And Mercury moves fast, 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 and is a little bit of a trickster. And I have noticed just in the past few weeks, I have been feeling this, like, I'm so much more curious than I have been. And I'm like wanting to join groups. I've joined a book club. I've joined another book club. I've joined this discussion group that goes on regularly with a bunch of other astrologers. I'm doing things that are more social and that are much more mercurial. And I'm like, that's interesting. I'm like, no, I'm ready. I'm like queued up to get into this ninth house perfection year. And I also know that means more publishing, more astrology, more psychology, more, and we're doing some existential conversations in some of these groups. One of them I shared in the Bond Blast, that I'm in this A Course in Miracles book club. And like A Course in Miracles, my God, I remember my mom and a bunch of her woo friends sitting around in the house growing up, like in the 1970s. I'm growing up, I'm sitting on the rust shag carpet in our home in Hapeville, Georgia in the 1970s. And we're gathered around this group of people reading and discussing A Course in Miracles. And I'm like, I am like remembering in my cells some of what this experience was. And I'm like, yes, let's do that. Let's get into A Course in Miracles discussion group here in my 50s. Let's do it. And so I'm like, why is this energy happening right now? And then I go, knock, knock. It's your ninth house perfection year, and ruler Mercury coming to say, we're ready for you. Come on over. And I'm like, let's do it. All right. So here's what I want to share from my awesome Canva. And I'm going to be judging these slides and making this available for y'all to have. And I'll probably do an opt-in to get the download. Like, you'll have to put in your email address to get the download of some of these slides. So if you're like, no, I'm not giving you my email address, totally fine. Just take screen grabs of this. You'll have the old versions, because I'm going to be zhuzhing these, like I said. Because, of course, I got to zhuzh them. This is from a webinar that I did years ago, and I would definitely not choose this font today because this font is a little hard to read. But these are the rules of annual perfections. You've got whole sign houses, must be whole sign houses. This is an ancient technique for timing, and you must use whole sign houses in order for it to work. Also, these change on your birthday. Your annual perfection is not done from the new year to the new year. It's done from your birthday to your birthday. The ruler of your year is going to be based on traditional rulership. So this is where we have Aquarius ruled by Saturn, and we have Pisces ruled by Jupiter, and we have Scorpio ruled by Mars. We're not using the modern enhancements to rulership because this is an ancient technique. That said, I mean, I'm not going to get mad at you if you need to look at modern rulership. Like, I'm not anti any of these additions or layers to techniques. I'm just telling you that that's what the original technique required. And some of the adaptations are a little less present in the way that we see how the years play out. But you do you. I'm not gonna be mad at you. Your patterns repeat every 12 years. You want to look to the ruler of your year. Like, so if I'm in I've been in a Venus ruled year, you're going to want to look at that ruler in your natal chart, as well as where it's transiting in the year ahead, to know what kinds of medicine you're going to be able to pull from your chart and from the transits for the theme that you're experiencing this year. So here are the houses and what they mean. Get a screen grab on that one if you do not already have a favorite list of what each of the houses mean. I've also got some little blurbs around the edges there. It's totally normal to have more than half of your houses empty. The energy is still there, though, based on the sign and its ruler. If you are curious how each house feels in your life, follow the new moons, full moons, follow the moon itself, the cycle as it goes all the way around your chart wheel every single month, or technically 13 times a year. You are getting to experience through the moon what each of the houses of your chart feels like. And throughout the year, you can just follow the sun, because the sun is spending about a month in each of these houses, and that lights up what that is going to feel like in your lived experience. The ascendant is always the first house, and with whole sign astrology, which we're using for this technique, your rising may be somewhere in the middle of the first house rather than the thing that starts it off, but that's an important thing to remember. Stelliums, of course, anytime you have usually 3 or more planets that are not the sun plus Mercury, because the sun and Mercury are, a third of the time going to be in the exact same sign. And so sometimes people will say that doesn't count toward a stellium. Look, here's my chart. I say that for absolutely sure. I got a Cancer stellium and a Libra stellium, but then, purists would say I don't have a Libra stellium because the ascendant is not a planet, it's a point, and Uranus is an outer, so it doesn't count. And I'm going to go, you cannot tell me that with Uranus, Jupiter, and my rising and moon in the first house, that's not a stellium worth of energy. Like, even if that's not technically a stellium, I'm sorry, that is a stellium worth of energy. That's a lot of Libra energy. And then the same with Cancer, because midheaven, sun, Mercury, Mars, Hygeia also on this version right here because I got my extras turned on. But anyway, let's then get to the glyphs so that you know what you're looking at. If you need a glyph guide, here's one that I made back in 2022, as you can tell by the footer, because I used to put my copyright dates on my shares at the Instagram. Oh my God, this is also before I got my favorite font for the glyphs, and so I was using images. But anyway, so for annual profections, we're going to use whole sign houses and traditional rulership. So this right here is your guide, that if you are looking at an Aries house, you're looking at a Mars ruler. If you're looking at a Taurus house, you're looking at a Venus ruler, and so on. Again, we are using traditional rulership. All right, now I'm gonna go rising by rising. This is how the technique works. I'm gonna actually show you in my chart here first. I'm going to just go around with my little mouse, and then I'm going to go through Aries to Pisces rising and show y'all those slides. Feel free to screen grab them. I will also give you a download of them, like I said, once I do a little zhuzhing. But what we do is, in the year we are 0, the year we are born, we have a first house year. So I know it's really easy to go, okay, first house, that's 1. It's not. It's the year you are 0. The year you are 0, you have a first house profection year. It means that the ruler of your first house, which is your chart ruler, because it's your ascendant ruler, is the boss of you for the year. You're going to be dealing with first house themes, and those first house themes are my body, my personality, who I am in the world, the space I take up, how I present, how I drive my life car. Like this is my only house in the entire chart wheel that is solo, me. So in that 0 year, it is giving all of the who even am I, and my chart ruler is a big influence in that. And so for a first house 0 year profection, you find out who is the ruler of your rising sign, and that is going to dictate how this 12-year cycle kicks off. Then in your year of age 1, when you turn 1, you will move into a second house profection year, and its ruler will then be the focus of how things are done for the second house themes, which are money, values, stuff, possessions, enoughness, how I earn my revenue, and also how I invest in things that are important to me in the day-to-day. It is the steady paycheck. It is my possessions. If we want to think about this from the age that is more associated with that second house, it would be when I start to recognize that, oh, this is mine. This is me. This is mine. This is me. This this is mine, this is me. These are, possessions, things that we have earned or have brought into our possessions, okay? Or that we have brought into our possessive space. Okay, third house, when we are 2 years old, we enter into a third house, profection. And that means the ruler of our third house, whatever the sign is in our third house, that ruler is going to have a lot to do with the timing and the pace and the approach that we take to things that happen in that third house theme. And what is the third house in terms of themes? That's going to be your neighbors, your siblings, your cousins, your local area, the space around your early childhood education, your local communication. Your social media is third house type of communication, because it is how we do a blog or a vlog or a Substack, a newsletter, how we do anything that is more social communication. Those are going to be the types of things that we connect with on a third house level. Then when we move into the fourth house profection year, we are age 3. So you're still following here that we're doing a year lagging behind the number of the house. So when we turn 3, we enter into a year of fourth house perfection. The ruler of our fourth house is going to set the pace and how we approach things, the tone of it all, and the theme is going to be fourth house themes. What are fourth house themes? Those are going to be things like house, home, real estate, how we eat, how we nourish ourselves, how we connect with the unseen parent in our scenario. So if you are adopted, or if paternity was never confirmed in your conception, if you had a parent that left and was just not a part of your story, that's going to be your fourth house parent. But it's also ancestral real estate. It's going to be the connection to the land and to the home, and how you were raised in many ways. That's going to be the theme for the fourth house endeavors. Then when we move into the fifth house, we've turned 4. We move into the fifth house for the types of things that we're going through, and the ruler of the sign of the fifth house is going to be what it is that sets the pace and the approach for those fifth house experiences. And the fifth house is your children, your childlike glee, your inner child work. It's going to be how you have fun, how you take risks, how you are seen. Do you step into the spotlight? Do you take risks? Do you gamble? Do you have affairs? Do you do things that are a little frisky and risky and maybe a little naughty sometimes? What is your sense of play and being seen and really taking up space? That's a lot of what happens in that fifth house, age 4 part of your chart. Then we move into the sixth house at age 5. That sixth house by annual perfection is going to be, again, whatever the sign is there, that ruler is going to be the pace and how we approach the energy of that time. But what are the issues of sixth house? Day-to-day activities. What are my habits? How's my hygiene? What is my daily routine? What are the things that feel a little more mundane, a little more just day-to-day activities? It's also if I have a business of my own, it's the people who work for me. If I work at a jobby job, it's my relationship as an employee in that space. It's also our pets. So our domestic animals and things that feel like they are a part of our pack are going to be a part of that sixth house, age 5 story. Then by age 6, we move into a seventh house perfection year. So age 6, seventh house. The seventh house is one-on-one relationships. So again, the sign of our seventh house, that is going to be whatever that ruler is, setting the pace, the timing, the energy of how we go at things in that seventh house. And the seventh house being one-on-one partnerships, it doesn't have to only be our spouse. It can be business partners. It can be an attorney, a coach, a therapist. There are some overlap in other houses for these types of relationships, but it's any of that like one-on-one relationship that is a very definitely we're meeting head to head. And this can also be known enemies. And that's one that's really fascinating for that seventh house experience. When we move into the 8th house, as we have just spent a shit ton of time discussing in my personal life, thank you again for enjoying story time with Bon. The 8th house, when we are age 7, we enter into that dark house, the 8th house of other people's money, of mystery, the occult, death, sex, taboos, magic, inheritance, things that are outside of our control in great ways, debt, taxes, all of the, obviously, student loan situation, all of that fits into the 8th house. Again, this is a pattern that starts with age 7, and the ruler of the sign of the 8th house takes control over the tone of the year in terms of the pace and how we're going to attack the things that happen in that house. And because it's 8th house is one that we don't have a lot of control over, if any, it really is one where the ruling planet can be at odds with what's going on in that house. And that's true in a few places in the chart, which we'll talk about the nuance on that when we get into some of your situations. And so feel free to ask questions around your specific situation as we go through this. The age 8 situation is the 9th house situation. And our 9th house, of course, is where we get into international travel, exploration, growth, spirituality, religion, psychology, law, philosophy, publishing. So this is a grander, bigger, out in public version of some of the themes that were a part of the 3rd house and writing and doing things. We're way more out and in the public eye with the things that we do in a 9th house profection year. So again, this is age 8, and whatever the ruling planet is of the sign for your 9th house, that is going to have a lot to do with the speed at which you do the things there and the vibe that you attack that house with. And I am using attack for some reason since I crossed over my Mars ruled space of the 7th house. I've noticed that word has come in there. I don't really mean it. Mars clearly has something to say. Then we move into, at age 9, our 10th house profection year. And by age 9 in the 10th house, we are now in the public parent. This is in opposition to the 4th house where we had the unseen parent. So if you're adopted, this is going to be not your birth parents, which were 4th house. It's going to be the adopted parents, 10th house, the ones that were more public in your life. If you are a child of divorce, this is going to be the parent you ended up living with. This is going to be, if you had both parents in the household, this is going to be the one that would be considered more a public influence on how you showed up in the world, the influence that you feel more visible in your experience. The 10th house, age 9, again, the ruler of this house is going to say a lot about the pace with which you approach things and how you get things done vibrationally. Then when we move into the 11th house, that's age 10 for the first time you're experiencing this. This is going to be, again, the ruler of the 11th house will set the tone and the timing for how you approach things in the 11th house. And the theme of the 11th house is going to be friend group at large, your audience, the collective, the world at large, and how they are your audience for the things that you take out into the world and give as your gifts. It's also going to be your activism, your vibe for getting out in the world with a message, the legacy that you leave. All of this is going to take shape in the 11th house. And then in the 12th house, when you are age 11, for the first time you're experiencing this, this is another of the dark houses. The 12th house and its ruler setting the pace, the timing, and how we approach the things of the 12th house is going to be prisons, it's hospitals, it's institutions, it is systems that we do not have a lot of control over. It is the unseen, it's the subconscious and unconscious. It is the stuff that happens in dreamland and sometimes makes its way back into the real world, but in more magical ways. It's going to be mental health. It's going to be where we get a construct of some of the messages that are not our own. It's ancestral connections as well. So that is a quick view through the 12 houses. We are now going to go rising by rising. For what ages that means, we will layer onto it. Just to show you, if you come to me for a reading and I do this for you, I will pull up this little thing where profections. I'll pull up this little thing right here, which allows us to see that we started at July 11th, 1970, age 0, going through each of those years and each of those houses and each of those signs and each of those. It's called a lord here, or a ruler. I say, who's the boss of you? Which planet is going to have the most say in how that year from birthday to birthday goes down? It also can be taken out by the month if you would like, but I'm going to encourage you to not necessarily get in the weeds about taking profections out to the month. With all timing techniques, we can actually take them from year to month to day to minute. I skipped hour to minute to second. Like we don't need to get that precious with the timing technique. A year is plenty. So if I want to look at the patterns using this app, which is Astrology Gold, Astro Gold, I can then go, starting in 1982, age 12, I began a rerun of those 12 years that I just went through, those 12 houses. In 1994, at age 24, I started another of that 12-year cycle. And then in 2006, age 36, I started another one of those. And then in 2018, age 48, I started another one of those. And I'm in this one now. I am in this cycle that started in 2018 when I turned 48 and I kicked off a new 12-year cycle. And for sure, age 48 was a totally brand new cycle for me in so many ways. And here I am finishing up my age 55, can't drive 55, I just can't. This has been a Taurus sign with a Venus rule 8th house year, and I will, in a few hours, start my age 56, 9th house Gemini Mercury ruled year, and so on and so on. Okay, so that's the kind of thing that we're going to look at now, rising sign by rising sign. Get ready to screenshot. I will also have this for you in a zhuzhed up version to download in the description of today's live stream once we are in replay mode. Hey, replay crew, appreciate y'all. Make sure to continue to comment and support your non-AI content creators here on the YouTubes, please. All right, so there are your ages. I took you all the way to age 107. Do you think that is far enough? Do you think I did okay with that? I figure I got you all with that one. I think. I know they're trying to make us live forever, but y'all gonna figure that out after I'm gone, because this version of things, I know I'm gonna be here a long while still. 56, I'm still just getting things sorted out here in this young life of mine, but I figure 107, you get it. Okay, so these are your years, these are your rulers. There's your age, Aries rising. Hope you got your screenshot. We are moving on. We are now in Taurus rising. The one thing I did not say about Aries rising, you kick off with Mars rulership because Mars is your chart ruler. And then you go through the houses from there. Mars, Venus, Mercury, Moon, Sun, back to Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Jupiter, and then you reset to Mars. So that is the order, and that order is the same for all of us. So even if you don't know somebody's birthday, if you know what their age is, you know what kind of year they are having in terms of ruler, if you know their rising. Now, there's also profections by sun sign and moon sign as a technique, especially for people who don't know their birth time and therefore do not know their rising. So it's not that all is lost if you do not know your rising. Just use this for your sun or your moon, whichever one you feel closest to, because we set that in the first house and go from there. More on that in the free webinar, which I will remind you is over here at bonniegillespie.teachable.com/courses. You're looking for the one called You're Not the Boss of Me, which is the ancient astrological timing technique made early, made easy. It is an early, ancient astrological timing technique made easy. Different E word. Okay, here we go. So Taurus. Taurus rising, you have Venus as your first house chart ruler, first house / chart ruler, and all through your ages, those are your rulers, those are your houses. Go ahead and get that screen grab. I am now moving on to Gemini rising. Folks with Gemini rising, as you might predict, yours shifts by one as well. So you have Mercury as your chart ruler, your first house ruler, and then you move into second house moon, third house sun, You seeing how this goes? I know y'all like already so far ahead of me. You've already gone into Canva and made your own slides. These slides not made by AI. Do not have AI enabled in any way on any of my things because reasons, y'all. All right. Oh, by the way, there is a setting on all things Meta that went live this week. If you are an Instagram user, there is a setting that you will want to opt out of if you do not want AI taking your images from Instagram and using them for whatever they want, not just to learn, but to have to turn you into saying whatever they want you to say or do whatever they want you to do. There is a permission that has been granted by default. Hang on, I got to come off this for a second. There is a status, a permission that has been granted by default. Thanks, Meta, at Instagram, that you will want to toggle off because it is using all of your images by default to do whatever the frick it wants with AI. And when you toggle it off, you are basically telling it, I do not want you to use my images to make me do things that I am not doing. As I was going through last night and also changing the permissions on each thing I had already previously posted at Instagram, because it's not retroactive, it's only forward active. So you turn it off, but then you have to go back to your old posts and turn off the setting as well, because they want to make it really hard for you to do this. As I'm doing this last night, Keith goes, you know, they've already scraped all your content for all the AI that they want already. And I'm like, yes, I know. But what they haven't done yet is sell my content to the next buyer with this stuff turned on. So it is still important to go turn all of that off. Let me see if I can find the article that I want y'all to have. Let's see, Wired, Meta, Instagram, opt out AI. Let's see if I can find the article. Yeah, SAG-AFTRA slams Meta AI for using your Instagram photos, says opt out. Great. SAG-AFTRA has already come out saying absolutely turn this shit off. Yep, big agree. Here's the article in Wired. You are looking for Meta now lets anyone use your Instagram photos in AI images unless you opt out. This is really, really, really important, y'all. You want to turn this off. And we want to send a message that AI shit is shit and it needs to be stopped. We've got to have some protections, especially those of us who are creatives and we are busy creating things for authentic humanness. So this new model called Muse Image is what you're looking for turning off. And this article will go through and tell you how to get it all turned off. You may not have this rolled out yet. I had it on all of my Instagram accounts, but you want to make sure that you get this shit the way that you want it. Thanks, Meta. You're just a peach. You're just a peach, I tell ya. All right, back to can't see, this is Mama Cancer looking out for y'all. My Cancer stellium's going, I'm Mama Bear, and I'm gonna fight for y'all because this is not okay. I got my crab claws out. I'm gonna pinch off your pecker, Zuckerberg. Okay, so remix that. All right, here is the annual perfection slide for Cancer rising. Obviously, your chart ruler, moon, and then you move second house ruled by the sun. You have a year at the ages 2, 14, 26, 38, 50, 62, 74, 86, 98, third house ruled by Mercury, and so on. Take that screen grab. Next, we're going to move to Leo rising. Get this screen grab. You are ruled by the sun, and therefore your first house kicks off ruled by the sun. You then move into Mercury, Venus, Mars, etc., etc., etc. Get your screen grab. We then move on to a Virgo rising. Your Virgo rising starts with a Mercury ruler, then moves to Venus for house number 2, and then Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. Remember, I mentioned those back-to-back Saturn years. That's not cute. Those back-to-back Saturn years are a lot to contend with, because that is a lot of boundaries and no and should and shame and systems and oh my God, why do I have these years back to back? So you can get into that second one and realize that the first one was really challenging and the second one is actually not as bad by comparison, but also it's so then you don't have to do Saturn ruled years for another decade. I mean, I'm just saying. All right, Virgo, you got your screen grab. We're now moving to Libra rising. Libra rising, this is my chart, so this is what we were seeing in action as I was going through the wheel and talking about my experience. This is a first house ruled by Venus because Libra rising. Then we move into second house Scorpio ruled by Mars. Again, we're using traditional rulership. We're using whole sign houses. This is very important for this technique. Get your screen grab Libra rising. We are now moving on to Scorpio rising. Scorpio rising starting with a Mars ruled first house and ages 0, 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72, 84, 96, etc., etc., etc. Your first house ruled by Mars, second house Jupiter, then you get those Saturn ruled years back to back, etc., etc. That is the word of the minute, is etc. I have now said it 10 times in this 1 minute. You're welcome. We are now moving over to our Sagittarius rising. We've got a Jupiter ruled chart and a Jupiter ruled first house, followed immediately by those back-to-back Saturn ruled years, and then into Jupiter again and moving back toward the luminaries. So we get by the 5th house Mars, and then 6th Venus, Mercury, Moon, Sun, and then we move back up toward Saturn with Mercury, Venus, Mars, and then we reset for the new 12-year cycle for Sagittarius rising. Get your screen grab Capricorn rising. You kick off on a Saturn ruled year because you've got a Saturn ruled chart. So you kick off each new 12-year cycle with a Saturn ruled thing. But because you are Capricorn rising, you're already used to this and you don't find it as challenging as those of us who don't have a big tight relationship with Saturn might. You're like, why is everybody in all the drama about a Saturn ruled year? Saturn rules my chart. What are y'all complaining about? It is here for excellence. It is here for this goat climbs the vertical face wall. What are you talking about? I know Capricorn. I know they got to complain. I know. So Capricorn rising, you got your screen grab of your annual profections by age and house. And here we go to Aquarius rising. This is your rebellious cousin. Capricorn, y'all both ruled by Saturn, but in totally different ways. Again, we're using traditional rulership. That's why Aquarius is ruled by Saturn. And then we move from the first house Saturn to the second house Jupiter, because Pisces ruled by Jupiter. Again, in annual profections, we use traditional rulership and whole sign houses. Get your screen grab Aquarius rising. I'm now moving on to Pisces rising. Here you go. Last slide. Did you get it? Did you get it? Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Pisces rising. We start with a Jupiter ruled year, then we move into a Mars ruled year, Venus, Mercury, etc., etc. I'm back to my etc., etc. I'm going to come off my screen, yes, and check on y'all in the chat. And then we're going to talk about solar return charts. I did not forget. We are definitely going to be talking about it. I want to see how y'all doing. How y'all doing? Let's see. Lord, I remember that shaggy carpet. Don't you? Do you remember playing, Joni, do you remember playing Spiderweb in that living room with those olive green captain's chairs with the big arms, the big wooden arms? And I would tie string around and weave it around all the things in the living room and make you and Packet climb through all the spider web. Wasn't that fun? That rust shag carpet. Nothing like it. Nothing like it. Josephine, I also just had my birthday. Happy birthday. Happy Cancer season. My moon baby sister. And your new perfection year is the 3rd house. Great, Josephine. So you are in a 3rd house perfection year. What is your rising? Remind me. What is your rising? Your 3rd house is Capricorn. Yay. Okay. There you go. There you go. See hill, take hill. Yes, ma'am. Josephine, you have it exactly right. You have Capricorn in your third house. That means your third house ruler is Daddy Saturn, which means you're entering your back-to-back Saturn-ruled years. And absolutely, Capricorn says challenge accepted. So, and it will be specifically in areas of third house. What are areas of third house? That's going to be writing. It's going to be communicating. It's going to be educating. It's going to be your neighborhood, your local world, your siblings, cousins, close in friend group, whoever it is that you would call part of your your early development fam. Basically, we think back to what is the development like at that stage growing up. This is also your social media. It's going to be easier to do social media now than other times. And also, the more you follow a system, because Saturn rulership of your third house, the better. So those are the kinds of themes you can expect and the kind of relationship you can expect along with it. Also, the pace. I didn't talk much about the pace. Let's talk about that. The pace of the rulers, very important, because there is an energy with each of the rulers. If we're talking about Cancer as the sign of a certain house that's ruled by the moon is super fast. The moon is changing signs every couple of days. The moon is like boom, 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 boom. But the moon is also incredibly intuitive. So it's less that we feel that fast pace of the moon constantly changing signs, and more that we feel the ebbs and flows of the cyclical nature of the moon. When we are in a Cancer house, a moon-ruled year by profection, we are in a much more intuitive and going with the cycle of things stage of our lives. That year is always going to be marked by your gut, your intuitive knowing, your ability to follow that cyclical rhythm. Next, we've got Mercury when we're thinking of speed. I'm going from fastest to slowest. So Mercury is going to go fast, 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 and in a way that is different from the moon, because the moon is changing signs quickly, but in a cycle that is very predictable. It is the moon loses light, the moon grows in light, the moon loses light, the moon grows in light. Mercury, on the other hand, is frenetic. Mercury is all over the place. Mercury is like, I'm going to go this way, and then, haha, psych, I'm going to go this way. You know, Mercury retrograde. Mercury is going to like change its mind. It's going to be very curious, and it's going to want to know all the details, and it's going to want to get into all the things, but it's going to want to know what else is there that I could get into. My dog, Gemini, constantly wants to know what is that, but what else is that? That is signature for that Mercury rulership is like, but what else, but what else, but what else? And so that energy of quickness and erratic direction is a signature of your Mercury ruled years, no matter what houses we're talking about. Your Venus ruled years, by contrast, Venus is slow. Venus is never late, always worth the wait. And when I say never late, I mean, whatever, late, if late is what happens, but always going to label it never late, because always worth the wait. Venus is much more of a, I will wait here on my shell and you will be magnetically attracted to me and not know why. And that's okay, honey. You don't need to know why. You just know you want to be here. Venus is very slow. Venus, just in terms of astronomy science, Venus is the planet that takes longer to do a day, which means a full revolution, than it takes to do a year. So it takes longer for Venus to turn around once than it takes for it to go around the sun once. And Venus moves backwards when compared to all the rest of the planets. And I don't mean orbits backwards, I mean rotates backwards. And of course I love that because I'm left-handed and I'm like, everything is backwards. Of course I'm ruled by Venus. Venus is slow. Venus is patient. Venus is come on and bring it to me. And Venus is patient in the way of, if it doesn't come to me, it's not meant for me. Okay, their loss. Like for real. So Venus is definitely, when you've got the ruler Venus, going to take a lot more time and be a lot more receiving in the energy. By contrast, we have our Mars-ruled years. So those Mars-ruled years are going to be, I'm taking action. I am moving forward. I am aggressive. I am going and getting it, because that is the stuff that Mars wants to do. So going back to Josephine for a second. Josephine, if you've got Mars in Capricorn in your natal chart, I know we were talking about Capricorn being, I'm going to go get it. I see hill, I climb hill. I love that example that you used. If, for instance, your Mars is in Capricorn, or if Mars is transiting Capricorn during your Saturn ruled year, you feel that energy of Mars. Mars is going to say, let's take action. Let's move things forward. Let's go get in a very active way. So when you are in your Mars ruled years, you are going to feel that energy of attack. Go get, let your passion lead you. So if you're not already lining up your passion with the Mars ruled houses in your chart, that means your Aries and your Scorpio houses. If you're not already letting passion be in charge of what happens in those houses every damn day, go ahead and start doing that, because that's what Mars wants for those places. But in your Mars ruled years, whatever is going on, you're going to be way more assertive about it and way more go get about it. Now, the speed is different in an Aries versus a Scorpio space, because Aries is like go before you've even thought of a plan, because Aries is like, I'm brand new, I don't know that there are consequences, so I'm just going to go. I'm going to fuck around, and I'm not even going to stay to find out, because Aries, I'm beep beep on, I've made it to the next place. Whereas Scorpio is going to say, I would like to take a little more time before we take that attack, because I want to make sure we've researched all the way to the bottom of the depths of everything that is possible to research before we do that action taking. And so just know that those relationships are a little different in how they manifest, especially compared with the ones that we've done so far. Whereas Gemini and Virgo both have that kind of frenetic energy of Mercury, where Gemini's is more curious and Virgo's is more, let me make sure I've checked everything. That's not too big a difference in terms of how that feels. And the same with Venus being, with Taurus, it's going to be take the time because it just feels better to enjoy and luxuriate. And for Libra, it's going to be because I believe in all things being just and fair. And therefore, what comes to me is meant for me, because that is what that balances out in the universe. And so it's a slightly different bent to it, but not the way that we really see in Mars. Then in terms of speed, the pace of the year, when you're in your Jupiter ruled years, you are going to be larger than life. Things are going to be getting bigger, and they're going to get bigger in ways that you really can experience and witness within that year. But it's within that year. It's not fast. It takes Jupiter 12 years to make it all the way around our chart. I will let you do the math on it taking 12 years for Jupiter to make it all the way around the chart. What also takes 12 years to go all the way around the chart? This timing technique, profections. Would you look at that? So Jupiter is on pace with moving through the profections, but it might not be in the same place. So to use myself as an example, like I like to do because I got my chart handy, I am moving into, mere hours from now, I am moving into a Gemini, therefore Mercury ruled 9th house year by profection. How do I know that? I went to my handy slide for Libra rising, and I said, Bonnie, how old are you today? And I said, today, Bonnie, thank you for asking, I'm 55. Bonnie, what does that mean you're in? An 8th house year by perfection, therefore ruled by Venus, because Libra rising. Bonnie, how old will you be tomorrow? Oh, tomorrow I will be 56. What happens when you are 56? You move into a 9th house year by perfection, therefore ruled by Mercury. See how that works? I will move from a perfection year of here to a perfection year of here. But we got the transits of the now. I just put an extra layer on the chart, and this extra layer that I've put on the chart is the current woo weather. Would you look at somebody coming up on their solar return? Would you look at that sun coming right up on my sun? Come come to my degree. Come on over. It's so nice here. Also having Mercury retrograde on my natal Mercury. It's hilarious. I've noticed myself having menopause mouth more than ever since Mercury went retrograde. I'm not mad at it though. I find it hilarious. Which, by the way, that is a very Mercury way to experience menopause mouth, is to find it just hilarious. Okay, so, but look at this. Jupiter just moved into Leo. So I am going to be simultaneously having a 9th house profection year because of timing technique, age 56, and I am going to be having Jupiter in my 11th house of Leo. We all are going to be having Jupiter in Leo, wherever that is in your natal chart, right? So wherever Leo is for the year, sorry, not Leo for this year, wherever Leo is in your natal chart, you're having Jupiter for a year. But I just want you to notice that Jupiter taking a year to go through each of the signs also tracks with it taking a year to go through each of the houses by profection. Now, your birthday being a completely different time of year than when Jupiter changes signs, and Jupiter not actually changing signs on the dot on a year. I know that this is something that is going to vary from time to time, but I'm fascinated by the fact that it is a 12-year cycle and also a 12-year cycle going all the way through the chart. So just something to notice. Even if you're not in a Jupiter-ruled year, you will be in a Jupiter-ruled year 2 times over the 12 years, and noticing where Jupiter is all the time can be a fascinating study, especially for people with day charts, meaning the sun is above the rising in your birth chart. Okay, so talking about the pace. When we are in a Saturn ruled year, we have the slowest of all the rulers. Daddy Saturn takes 27, 28, 29 years to make it all the way around the chart. Daddy Saturn takes a long time, 2.5 to 3 years to get through each sign. So what we count in Saturn time management is our squares. Saturn does a square every 7 years. And so our Saturn squares are like the 7-year itch in relationships. When people say, why does everybody get divorced or break up or have a crisis in the year 7 of their relationship? I'm like, Saturn square from when the relationship started. And then at 14 years, the opposition, it's Saturn. And then why again at the Saturn return or at the 3/4 mark? Because Saturn loves a hard angle. Saturn loves 7 years for timekeeping. Saturn, as this age 7 crisis, that first thing that happened that made you go, oh my God, I'm going to have wounds in my life. I didn't know that trauma could be capital T, tends to happen around age 7 as well, because that's our first Saturn square. I mean, come on, Saturn, you're just adorable like that. So when you're in a Saturn ruled year, one of the reasons it's hilarious that the Saturn ruled years are back to back is that it takes for ever to feel like anything is happening. And especially if you are someone who is a very active chart, you are someone who is ruled by Mars or Mercury, and you're used to just like ba 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 ba, and then suddenly you go boom, Saturn ruled years, and you're like, it's slow like death. It's slow like fingernails growing. This is taking forever. Yes. And Daddy Saturn loves it that way. So just know that you're not meant to see change very quickly in those Saturn ruled years. Have I broken your brain? And we haven't even done solar return yet. And we're at like seriously 90 minutes into this episode. I knew I was going to talk a long time today though, because I knew I was going to share a personal story. I know. Carolina, I love you so much. Happy solar return to you too, my darling. I miss you. Larima, how is this even legal? Why would someone even think to do this to someone? The AI stuff, I know. Because greed. This is very much like at the beginning of .coms and how everybody was buying all the URLs and just selling whatever and putting up like this isn't really the website for this company, but we're going to take your money because you're going to put your credit card in because you don't know we're brand new to the internet, and meanwhile they're scamming. We're in early days where there are no real laws, and with our current regime, Cheeto is certainly not going to make it hard for any of the billionaires to cause their tech to behave ethically. Why does he care? He doesn't care at all. He does not care at all. At all. So yeah, it's super corrupt right now. My cousin Joni with Scorpio rising, ruled by Mars, but in that deep, calculated way. Yes, yes, yes. Hello, my lover. Greetings to everyone from Santa Monica, California. My boyfriend is home now, which is why Mala is nowhere to be seen. My dog has gone to hang out with my man. I love it. Josephine says, damn, so I'm going into a Saturn year and then I get another Saturn year. Uh-huh. Yeah, so your fellow Scorpio risings, yeah, they know. Yeah, going into that Saturn after Saturn, it's like, oh, because now Scorpio doesn't mind taking time. Like I said, the experience of Scorpio, that Mars rulership is not fast like Aries. It is different in that regard. It is way more calculated than take action. But Saturn is very slow and pruning, budgeting, killing off what no longer needs to be here, saying no. Like during my Saturn ruled years, I'm like inside cat. I don't go be social in the way that I go be social when I'm up at the top of my chart and away from those Saturn ruled places in my chart. Yeah. Scorpio rising. There y'all go. Yep. Fourth house for me this year, says Rain. And I have Pisces in that house. So Jupiter is the boss of you, or as you're saying, the Lord of the year. That is correct, Rain. You have it exactly right. Jupiter as the boss of you for the year is going to say bigger, grow, let's go. And with fourth house matters, that's going to be around home and home cooking. It's going to be real estate. It's going to be how you set up house for yourself, as well as connection with the unseen parent and issues like that. It's going to be, how do we make them bigger and more growth centered? And so where this can be sticky is the fourth house can mean we need to go through some ancestral healing and we need to do some trauma repair work from our own upbringing. And Jupiter saying make it bigger can actually make the not great stuff louder in order to make it a bigger target to heal. That is something to keep in mind depending on what else you've got going on in the fourth house. I'm finishing, Joni says, my second Saturn ruled year, having lost 150 pounds and moved into my dream home, so it can be great. So true. And wouldn't you say that those back-to-back Saturn ruled years said, prune, declutter, cut this off, this is no longer needed. I would imagine you did a lot of not bringing with you into the new home things, a lot of shedding, definitely with shedding that much weight. That is going to be a very big indicator of Saturn doing some work. I know you have to feel like a completely different person in many ways. And when you get into that next year by your profection rule, that is going to be a Jupiter ruled year. And I bet that's going to be a season of so much more sparkle, make it bigger in lots of ways. That's very exciting. Thank you for sharing that example. All right. Any questions about profections? Anybody need a do me moment in profections before we go to the solar return chart? Because I do want to show the difference in options there. And I want to explain what that even is. Shedded those books you're now enjoying. That's true. Joni, y'all, is my cousin, as mentioned earlier. If you're just joining, you may not know that Joni in the chat is my cousin. And a few years before even putting your house on the market, Joni was doing a little, I'm gonna get rid of some books. I'm gonna start moving some things out. It's like almost knowing that energy was going to be coming. And she like did a flat lay of all these astrology books that my mom had that Joni took on when my mom passed, and probably some of them were borrowed while mom was still living, because Joni was the family member that would sit with mom for hours and talk astrology. And I was like, I grew up around this. This is not a fascinating conversation to me. I'm out. Of course, I would give anything to have all of that time back to talk with my mom about all the astrology things that I witness now in the day to day, but that's all right. That's where I was then versus where I am now. But Joni would sit and do all, so in mom's passing, all the books went to Joni, except for a few that came to me because I was like, no, this has mom's notes in the margins, and this one I remember, and I want like sentimental stuff. But even a lot of the sentimental stuff that went to Joni when she did the flat lay, and she's like, do you want any of these? I was like, that one, and definitely that one. But then there were some that she just was like, I think Bonnie will want this too. And I went just the other day, I woke up and I went, I think A Course in Miracles, I think that book is going to be in one of the boxes Joni sent. And this is years ago. Joni sent these, like in 2022, 2021, and I was like, yes, it's going to be in here somewhere. And I had not opened the boxes because I was like, Joni, when you send these boxes, do I need to open them? And she's like, no, you can just put them in your storage. And that's what I did. And then this day I was like, I know A Course in Miracles is one of the books in here. And I opened the first box, and there was A Course in Miracles. And I'm like, of course, it's the first box I opened. Of course it's there. Of course I dreamt that it was there. I knew it was there. And then I joined the book club to do A Course in Miracles. And I'm like, yes, thanks, Mom. I appreciate that. And thank you, Joni, for being the steward of those books for 2.5 decades after Mom passed. Like, you're just amazing and wonderful. And I'm just so proud of you for all the things. Michelle says, yes, please. Okay, Michelle, Cancer rising. So Cancer rising, and you are what age? I think, are we the same age? I think we're around the same age. Michelle, can you remind me? I know I have your chart in here, but I don't want to put you on screen. Let me, I'll just go to your chart because I do know your chart is in here. I know your chart is in here because I get to work with you all the time. You are Cancer rising. Oh, we're not the same age. Okay, you're a little ahead of me. All right, so let's see. You are my lovely Michelle. You are in currently an 11th house year. You are in a Venus ruled year. Okay, so the combination of, oh, and this is, by the way, this is something that this is something I'm building for y'all. If you take a screen grab of this and can read my chicken scratch, then good for you. You've got it. Again, this channel is not made with AI. I wrote this with my hands, and I'm going to put it in Canva, which Canva, I can't be responsible for what Canva does, but I do not use any of its like, hey, click here to get magic. I'm like, no, I'm good. I bring my own magic. Thank you. But what I've done is I've created like a Mad Libs of these are the ages, these are the houses, these are the signs, these are the planets that rule, these are the pace, and this is like a Mad Libs, and you fill in the blanks and it will just tell you like, this is your thing. So I'm going to do you. You are currently in an 11th house year ruled by Venus, because it's where Taurus is in your Cancer rising chart. Okay. So Michelle, that means this year, since your birthday, so for months now, you're like more than halfway through this year. This for you has been a year focused on audience at large, friend group at large, the collective at large, to be redundant, the group of people that you are here to serve as an audience, but also those that you are always putting on a show for. The 11th house is that larger friend group. It is who you're showing up for, your audience, your fan group, yes, all of that, putting on that show and doing it in a very Venus ruled way, very Taurus layered way. So what that means is you are allowing yourself to put things out there and then magnetically attract the right people. You're not jumping out there going, I got to get you, I got to get you, I got to get you, I got to get you. You may have had some of that energy last year, and by last year I mean last age. So like this time last year, you were in a Mars ruled place for 10th house. And so you may have been more like, I got to take action. But starting at your birthday late last year, so your current age, you shifted into, I'm going to let it magnetically come to me. I'm going to let it be something I create and feel has enduring value, because Taurus, all about value, all about making it lovely. And then it's like setting the table and let them come. I'm not going to go out and tell them, come sit down here because I made this dinner for you. You're just hosting a dinner party that if they come, they come. If they RSVP, they RSVP. That really is not your business. You're just making a lovely experience because it's going to be lovely for you and whoever shows up. And that's going to be continuing to be your energy through December, early December of 2026. And then you will go into your magical and very mental, because Mercury rule, Gemini, 12th house year. How's that sounding? Yeah? You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Absolutely. Yes, you know, that's super wild. My profection house year matches when I'm planning to move to LA for my career. So local travel and making my new small community, but knowing it's going to be the second Saturn year. Yes. Right? Right? So it's laying in structure. Right? So Josephine, it's going to be seriously like, yes, I'm going to do all of this local stuff, and I'm going to make sure that there is structure around it. I'm going to be moving into this new home space, and I am going to be looking at how can I have structure, Saturn, around that? How can I set up who my community is and where I would go family-wise for this new place that I'm occupying? Oh, I love all of this. Yes, that is beautiful. That makes me super happy, all of it. Okay, great. Oh, good. Thank you. Love it. You're so welcome. You're so welcome. And we can continue to have this conversation in the comments for those of you watching on replay. Hey, replay crew, thank you for being here. I appreciate all of you. Thank you so, so, so much for being here. We're not done. We are now going to go into, y'all, we're going to go into the glorious, wonderful, oh my gosh, I think it is so fabulous, solar return chart. Now, what is a solar return chart? So, the reason you see astrologers wishing each other happy solar return rather than happy birthday is because what we're actually celebrating is when the sun gets back to the exact same degree, minute, and second that it occupied at the time of our birth. So taking us back to our transit chart, right now we are at sun 18 degrees 34 minutes Cancer currently. Look at this. Oh my gosh. And we're at, like, in my time zone right this second, we're at a rising that is almost my rising. This is too cute. This is too cute. This is too cute. Okay. So let me put my chart back up here. My chart right there. See, look at that. Look at that rising 16. We are actually like living my chart right this moment. I am so happy to be live streaming right now. This makes me so happy. Oh my God, I love it. Okay, so my chart has sun at 18 degrees 59 minutes Cancer. So it is not yet my solar return, but I'm going to add the extra layer, and we will see that if I wanted to ask the app, when will I be at my solar return? It's going to be at 11:26 tonight, Pacific time. So if you would like to wish me happy solar return today, you are correct, because today I will be experiencing my solar return. Now, my birthday's tomorrow. My birthday's tomorrow. 7/11/70, 7/11/26. My birthday tomorrow. I turn 50 fucking 6. Are you kidding me? I still seriously feel 12. So it's just bizarre. It's bizarre. I don't understand time. Like when I consider what my mom was to me at age 56, I'm like, nah. I'm still a kid. Did mom still feel like a kid? I don't know, because she had 3 kids. So she may have stopped feeling like a kid sometime in her 20s because she was a parent to 2 at that point, and then I came along in her late 30s. But anyway, I digress. This situation here of the solar return is its own unique chart. And so if I were to flip these and take a look at just the moment this year that I get my solar return, you saw what I did there, right? I removed my chart and put on just the chart of the moment that the sun returns to my exact spot here. This is 18 degrees, 59 minutes Cancer, like we saw in my birth chart. This is a solar return chart because this is, in fact, the time at which the sun is back at my sun from my birth chart. We all have this, and we all have a different one each year because each year the planets have moved to other places and we've got all this different configuration. So for instance, we've now got Jupiter in Leo. Everybody from here on until July of 2027 will have a solar return chart with Jupiter in Leo. We will all share that. We will all have a solar return chart with Jupiter in Leo. We all just had a solar return chart this past year with Jupiter in Cancer. You see why the solar return chart and Jupiter taking a year can be really interesting, right? So we all have certain aspects in common when we use a solar return chart. But what we want to look at in a solar return chart is if this is my fictional, my theoretical, my chart for the year, my layered on chart. I'm not using progressions. I'm not using the profection technique anymore. I am now using solar return only. I want to say, well, then what is my rising sign for this year ahead based on this solar return? And based on this solar return chart, my rising is Pisces. And that would mean my ruler for this solar return chart is Jupiter. Jupiter as a ruler is like more, bigger, blingy, like let's go. And with Jupiter in Leo, it's let's go and let's take the stage and let's be seen and let's lead from the heart. And in this solar return chart, that's happening in my 6th house of day-to-day beings. And I'm like, yeah, I can see my day-to-day beingness, my day-to-day habits, my health. I can see all of that having a lot of that Jupiter in Leo experience. That tracks. And also I still have my nodal return going on. My north node is Pisces, south node is Virgo, and for my solar return chart, that is still where the nodes are. So I actually really like that it's helping me complete that energy. But by transit soon that won't be the case, but that's why this snapshot of the solar return chart is really interesting. It also puts Saturn and Neptune retrograde. No, Saturn's not retrograde yet. Sorry. Neptune retrograde in my 2nd house. Well, in my natal chart, Neptune is retrograde in my 2nd house. So that's very interesting. I like seeing that parity, even though in a completely different sign. That is a really interesting pattern that I might want to look into because that's consistency around money. And a Neptune retrograde is going to be doing different stories told about our inner selves. So I'm very interested in that. Saturn being in my 2nd house by solar return chart, definitely structure, figuring out systems, big time. 2nd house around consistent money, you betcha. That is a biggie, especially because since all the chaos of 8th house stuff that's been going on by profection, but also just by life, and the money situation being way destabilized after the fires or due to the fires, and then also the industry that I work in, showbiz itself, being completely gutted by AI, and that's just changing so much of what has been consistent for me. It's a lot. I'm looking for what are the systems, what is the structure. I'm like, okay, I can get on board with this. And then I take a look at this Gemini moon in my solar return chart, and I go, okay, Gemini moon, not that different from Libra moon, which is what I have natally. So we're going to be chatty. We're going to be ideas. And I'm like, oh my God, I get it. I get all the ideas and all the getting together with people. And then I'm like, well, wait, you're in a Gemini year by profection. You're in that Mercury rulership by profection. So I'm like, ooh, the solar return chart and the profection chart both tell a story of a very busy Gemini space, even though in my natal chart, I got nothing in my Gemini house. But by profection, moving into a Gemini house. By solar return chart, that's a Uranus, that's a moon, that's a Mars, as well as some extras in that Gemini part of my chart, and it's in that home space in this solar return chart. And I'm like, I'm here for that. I like all of that energy. And I like that I'm being more proactive. I'm doing more things with groups. I'm doing more things with writing, more things with reading, more things with learning, all Gemini themes. I'm like, okay, I'm here for it. Then my Mercury, though, is retrograde in this solar return chart. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with a Mercury retrograde in a solar return chart because that means I'm going to be more reflective. I'm going to be more turning that energy inward. I'm going to be more thoughtful around what do I need to check on in me and my communication with self? What do I need to make sure I'm communicating to myself authentically? I'm like, I'm okay with all of this. Sun in the 5th house in my solar return chart. Yes, that is the house of joy for that sun. Yeah, okay, happy to have it. Let's do that. Wait, do I have that wrong? I think Venus joys in the 5th. Does Venus joy in the 5th and Sun joys in the 9th? I think I think that's right. Ooh. Now I'm going to have to check. That is a hold up. I got to check my little whiteboard. And I will show you my whiteboard because it's so fun. Here it is. Okay, that is too big. Get smaller. Yeah, the sun joys in the 9th. This is my whiteboard. I know I can make one of these in Canva, and I never have, and I promise you I will. Because this needs to be in Canva, but I fucking love my whiteboard so much, my little whiteboard notebook, that this is what I use. So this is my little whiteboard book and the essential dignities, and these are the houses of joy. Take a screen grab if you want this, because soon this version will be unavailable except in archive, because I'll do a Canva version, make it pretty. But this is still pretty. To me, this is pretty. This is fine. Yes, so it is actually, I did have that flipped. It is the 9th house in which the sun joys, not the 5th. Okay, back to this. All right, so y'all, the sun in the 9th would joy, in the 5th does not. Mercury retrograde coming toward that sun. But I'm not mad at that. I'm okay with that. I am a little concerned for, in my solar return chart, Venus being so close to the south node, because anything close to the south node is going to be depleted, is going to be weakened, and Venus is my chart ruler in my natal chart. Also, Venus in Virgo, not a happy place. Venus in Virgo doesn't do the I sit on a shell and let the world come to me. Venus in Virgo says, hang on, I got to make everything perfect first. I got to make sure I've checked through all the details. And Venus is like, you don't have to check the details. Just put it out there, and you are going to have people come to you magnetically, because that is what happens with Venus. Venus in Virgo is a little more like, I'm not sure. I may need to be a perfectionist. And next to this south node is going, and let that drain a bunch of energy. And because that's in my 7th house, in my solar return chart, that could affect my relationship. It could be my marriage has some strain around, in particular, Venus related issues being a bit of a drain. And based on some things that we're working through in our relationship, that could very well be a place where we see some of that expense, some of that toll in my chart. So that's all interesting to look at. Now, for those of you purists out there who've been yelling while I've been showing you this, saying, Bonnie, this is not a solar return chart because you did it for where you are now in the city of Santa Monica, California, where you currently sit. Your solar return chart is supposed to be where you were born. I go, why can't it be both? Why can't it be both? This is the solar return chart for when I use my natal location. My natal location being East Point, Georgia. Okay, so when I do a solar return chart to my natal position, which is a type of chart you run, you tell it, take this exact sun, and I want to take it to there for this year, and I want it to be in the place of this person's birth, which for me is a couple thousand miles that way. I get a Taurus rising. I still get all the planets in the signs that they were in the version that I showed you for Santa Monica, but I get a Taurus rising. This changes the themes of some of what I'll be experiencing, but it doesn't change where the planets are by sign. So what it does is it puts that Neptune retrograde that I was saying, oh, this is fine in my second house. It puts it in my 12th house. It doesn't put Saturn in my second house of where I want to build systems around my money. It puts it in my 12th house, my mental health, my witchy shit, my connection with ancestors, my places of potential imprisonment. The darker houses are now going to be where this is happening. By the way, the 12th house is where Saturn gets his joy. So actually that's just fine. I'm okay with that. That rewrite doesn't upset me at all. A Taurus rising means I've got Venus as a chart ruler instead of Jupiter. So either way, I've got a chart ruler of Jupiter if I do it locally. I've got a chart ruler of Venus if I stick to where I was born natally for my solar return chart. Either way, we got a benefic. We got a happier benefic with Leo Jupiter than we do with Venus in Virgo. As we've discussed, it's not so happy there, and it's definitely not in great condition in this chart because of that drain by the South Node. But look, that Venus is in House of Joy, as referenced by that Essential Dignities whiteboard that we looked at. So Venus is in the house of her joy in this solar return chart. So that gives her just a little bit of a boost, even though otherwise she's pretty damn drained over here. It also means that all that energy that I was seeing over in my 4th house of all that Mercury ruled Gemini moon and Mars being in there taking action and Uranus being in there going, shake things up, let's go. That moon being right on top of Uranus, for fuck's sake. Like, that is not a small deal. All of that situation is now in my 2nd house by this solar return chart, which means all that shit's being shaken up in my consistent money space. Don't like that as much. I don't like all the volatility of this 2nd house. Not that Gemini's 2nd house is a problem, because everybody who's got a Taurus rising has a Gemini 2nd house, but it's the volatility of that Uranus with the moon, which is the thing that moves the most, and Mars, which has just moved over that Uranus and said, let's light things on fire, let's shake things up. There's an awful lot of volatility in that 2nd house, and as a solar return chart, I go, that makes me a little nervous for my 2nd house consistent money. But then I go over here and say, but my 8th house of, I don't know when the money's coming in, this is the place where Jupiter rules, that Sagittarius 8th house. I'm okay with that, because a Jupiter ruled 8th house is going to say more, grow, make it an adventure. And you know what? I'm okay. I can make it an adventure. I'm going to be fine. And also with Jupiter being in my 4th house, I'm not going to be left alone. I'm not going to be in a place where things go like, ooh, so bad off the rails. I'm going to be able to make the best out of whatever happens in my home situation. And in this chart, I don't have the pressure on my one-on-one relationship in the same way that I do in the other solar return chart. So when we combine together all the things, I've got a solar return chart to my natal position. We've got a solar return chart to my lived position now. We've got profections. Each of these tells a different story. And it's not that we throw them all together, shake them up and say, this is the experience. It's more of, I am going to be in a, no matter what version of this we look at, no matter what timing technique we use, I am going to be in a very much Mercury influenced time. I am going to be in a very 9th house growth, Jupiter kind of vibe, because the 9th house, just in terms of the chart wheel, represents Sagittarius themes. In the natural chart, it represents those themes of growth and academia and publishing and doing things that are of the higher mind. And I'm like, great, I'm going to use all that Gemini Mercury energy, and I'm going to do things that are in that 9th house space in my natal chart, and also by profection, and also in both solar return charts. I've got a lot of Gemini activity, and in places that can lead to money, and in places that can influence how I feel safe in my home. I'm okay with all of this. I like the vibe of this. I like that my rising in either of the solar return charts, it's either Pisces or Taurus. Those are both receptive signs. Those are both intuitive and manifesty signs. I'm cool with that. These are all things that allow me to see the pace is probably going to be frenetic because Mercury is a very big influence no matter how we look at it. And also I can trust those benefics to take care of me. And Jupiter takes care of me by saying, grow, 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 big, big, big. And Venus takes care of me by saying, pull it in like a tractor beam, just receive, receive, set it and let it pull in who's meant to be pulled in. Does anyone have questions about any of these interpretations? Is there a type of solar return chart that you prefer? Are you more of a solar return to where I live now, solar return to where I was born, or solar return to Fiji? Solar return to Aruba, solar return to the Arctic. Like what are you into? Where do you like to solar return yourself? And are you one of those who's like, I'm going to vacation to the place that gives me the best solar return chart possible? Because that is, in fact, the thing. Astrologers say you cannot run away from whatever is going to be in your chart for that year, no matter what you do to manipulate the solar return chart. But I have definitely worked with people who have made trips so that their solar return will happen in places that give them a little better advantage house-wise. Excellent, excellent. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Donnie, so good to see you, sweetheart. Thank you for the happy birthday wishes. Had to stop by as soon as I saw this pop up on the YouTubes. Thank you. I'm so glad you did. Thank you. Thank you. And y'all, we've been going 2 hours. What questions might you have about these methodologies? Of course, there are others. There are, what transits are we going to be experiencing this year? There are secondary progressions. Am I moving into a new moon phase and starting new things? Am I moving into a balsamic phase and things are getting very, very quiet while I do inner work? Am I moving into a full moon phase where things are going to get bigger and brighter and more public no matter what? All of these are considerations. There are also firdaria and zodiacal releasing and decennials, like using decans as a form of like firdaria tabling. It's fascinating. There's so many things. Born in winter, prefer to spend solar return in warm climate if possible. Love that. I think that is a great tradition. I think that is a beautiful thing to set for yourself. And then and where you choose to go, whatever adventure you're in the mood for, right? Oh, I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Oh, you beautiful people. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to hold for just another moment in case there are questions coming in my chat. Little specific questions. Yes, of course, Josephine, it's fine. But if the numbers by the sun on my solar return chart are 13 and 52, when is my solar return despite my birthday being on the 5th? Okay, so let's do. We will go into my astrology software and I will pull up when are my numbers going to be my numbers. Only 1 year spent on my birthday in Maui and I lived being by the ocean. Oh, Michelle, I love that. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Okay, so what we want to find out for you, Josephine, and thank you for playing with me on this. I love being able to do a specific. I don't want ingress. I want position. Okay, so I want the sun to be at, and you just told me that you want the sun to be at 1352 Cancer, and I believe Cancer is CN, and so we're going to go back. Yep, July 5th. You actually did have your solar return on July 5th. So your birthday is on the 5th and your solar return happened on the 5th. So unlike me, who's having a solar return happening on the 10th, even though my birthday is on the 11th, tomorrow, you had your solar return also on the 5th. But I want you to notice your solar return gave you a Scorpio rising. Don't you natally have a Scorpio rising, Josephine? Your solar return chart gave you a Scorpio rising like by mere moments. Look at how close you were to the line of Libra. I love this for you. So Mars, still your chart ruler for your solar return, which is in your 8th house, which means you'll be having lots of turn up of energy and activity in your 8th house of other people's money, of inheritance, taxes, loans, death, sex, the taboo, the occult, all the things that you just heard me talking about in my 8th house year. You, of course, have your sun in the 9th house, which is where the sun loves to be, and you already have that natally, so I love that for you. You do have a Mercury retrograde in your solar return chart, as do I. You've got Jupiter over in your 10th house of career, and being right there on your midheaven, that means lots of luck and growth and expansion into that Leo 10th house. Oh my God, you've got both your benefics in the 10th house. Josie, look at this. You've got Jupiter in Leo and Venus in Leo in your 10th house of career and success in the public eye and being out in front of the world. Do it. Look at this solar return chart, putting all that right out there for you. Oh, I love this. Yummy. And you don't yet have Neptune retrograde. So here's what happens though in your 6th house. Saturn in your 6th house is going to say, I'm going to need you to focus a little more on the structure of your health and your day-to-day activities relating to health. Okay? So that's going to be an important theme for the year. And also because Neptune is here, luckily Neptune's not right on Saturn's jock right now, but Neptune being here means you might not get clear information, especially if you're getting diagnoses, if you're like running tests and having health stuff and you're like, they can't come up with what this is. Neptune can oftentimes be playing tricks on us around what our health is. And so this is where you go, I'm going to come at it this way. I'm going to come at it that way. I'm going to go get these kind of tests. And then I'm going to go, so for me, that is, I'm going to go to the doctor. I'm going to get all the blood work. I'm going to get all that, run me through that MRI, run me through the machines, do whatever you white coats need to do. And then I'm going to go over here to my very cool crystal loving chiropractor who does body talk and muscle testing and pendulum work, and she is going to tell me that I need to take this homeopathy for this remedy needs to go under my tongue every day for 7 days, and then she'll muscle test me again and it'll be over whatever it is that I was experiencing, because also that so that can be some of how you choose to that. I am not a doctor. I do not play one on TV or the internet. That is me just sharing my experience and how I do that sort of thing. Moon in Pisces in your solar return chart. Josie, yum. Moon in Pisces is so beautiful, so psychic, experiencing all the things, and that happening in your 5th house of where you take the stage and childlike glee and playfulness and taking risks. So just use your gut around that kind of stuff. I also love that you're getting a nice little trine ish between your moon and your sun Mercury situation up here in Cancer. Super yum. I love all of this. You're literally moving this year. Wow. But astrology's not real. I know, hun. I know. It's so fun. So good. Okay, awesome. Great. Beautiful. That was fun. I'm glad we got to do that. Y'all, thank you for hanging out with me for my birthday. I always enjoy my new year. I spend the entire month of July celebrating my birthday. I wake up on July 1st, and the first thing I say every July 1st is, "It's my birthday!" And Keith goes, "It's your birthday," because it's not, but it is. It is. July is my birthday, but July, it is my birthday. I love celebrating my birthday. I love celebrating another trip around the sun. I love experiencing what all new stuff is going to happen in my life. I hope the annual Profections shares were very helpful for you and you're able to track some patterns and see like, wow, that is totally true for me. Every 12 years I see that cycle playing out, but also be aware that there are other factors like numerology, which runs from year to year and not birthday to birthday. There's also stuff like obviously your solar return charts and based on location, what that might mean. And of course, there's also the other timing techniques galore, which there are many, and all of them have valid weight. It's just a matter of, in your lived experiences, which feel like they resonate best for what you go through. And this is where I'm like, astrology will always be able to answer everything, because there is some way of looking at your chart. And this is before we even get into other schools of thought around astrology, before we even get into other astrological worlds. Just this is just for using this type of astrology, this Western astrology. But we can always come at your experience from a different technique and find out where that's happening in your chart and in your life and in your lived experience. And so track the patterns, notice what works for you. Don't worry about what doesn't work for you. Nobody needs to be out there correcting everybody on the internet about something that just doesn't work for them. You just go, that doesn't work for me. Isn't it nice like that? You are absolutely welcome. It is absolutely my pleasure. I so enjoyed spending this time with you. You're so sweet. Thank you for the toast. Thank you for the good luck. Thank you for the hearts. Love you so much. Grateful for the wisdom you're always willing to share with us. We adore you. Thank you. I will receive that adoration because my Venus chart ruler says, put it out there and attract it magnetically. Nothing wrong with that. I've had a very 8th house perfection year, Taurus ruled by Venus. And I'm closing it off with this session with y'all. Thank you so much. My sweet doggo has come in here to let me know that he has perceived I am finishing up. He always knows the tone of my conversation in here when it's time to go. Okay, are you stretching? Is that a big stretch? Go to your spot. Yeah, go to your spot. Good boy. Oh, he's such a good boy. What you got in there? Are you my good boy? Are you my good boy? Look at that tail. That's such a sweet tail. He says, okay, if you're going to talk to my tail, we got to go out. So we're going to go spend some time together. I love you all so much. Thanks again for joining me. Mwah. Till next time, please take good care of yourself and one another and enjoy whatever it is that you find out about yourself in the stars. Take care. Bye.